What if time travel was not only possible, but happening every day? What if it was something that you could do right now? Who would you see? Who would you want to visit? What would you ask them? Meet your future self with Israel Savage. It's time.
I wonder sometimes if the path that I've chosen to be, to fulfill my artistic dreams and endeavors is just about what it is that I really want, and that's just to be loved. If I take the journey through my life and I ask myself, I go to the 5-year-old self and say, hey, what do you want? If I go to the 15, 16-year-old self, what do you want? If I go to the 20 to 25-year-old self, what do you want? And I think I believed I could have all of those things up until something in life says, you can't have that, it's too late. If it's too late, then what I wanted from this point to the next 30 years was contingent on what happened from 0 to this many years. So from this many years to the rest.
Right. Yeah. I think the first place that you wanna start is in right now, because that's all there ever is. There's only now. It's only when we focus on our past that our past becomes our now, or when we focus on our future that our future becomes our now. But in any case, there's only now. The place that you want to start is just in a place of acceptance of yourself for where you are right now. Just like in the GPS analogy that we used, be okay with where you are. Okay, here's where I am. Here's where I am right now. It's temporary. What we're looking for here is a thought that gives relief. And when you're in a job that you don't enjoy, or when there's anything in your life that you don't enjoy or is less than ideal, then one place that you can find relief is in the thought, this is just temporary. This is just temporary. I don't like roller coasters. I don't like them. I really don't like them. But sometimes I choose to ride a roller coaster because my kids ask me to, and they love roller coasters. But the whole time, click, 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 I'm thinking, oh my God, why am I doing this? Oh my gosh. And I have tried so many strategies. And so I kid you not, I would meditate on the roller coaster so that I could even out the experience of the drop and just leave my body for just a little bit. Until I thought to myself, wow, there's so much resistance against this choice, this up and down, the feelings of up and down. I'm spending so much time and energy fighting against it. What if I just gave in to it? In other words, what if I stopped resisting? And so I tried it for the fun of it, for the curiosity of it. I threw my hands in the air and I just screamed instead. And it was much easier. It was a much easier experience. I still don't like roller coasters, but it was much harder to fight against what is than to just allow what is to pass. It's temporary. You know what helped me was knowing that that ride would eventually come to an end and I would get off. And the only reason that we become frustrated, that we become sad, that we become depressed, that we start to feel stuck is when we believe that there is no end in sight. When we believe that it's permanent. Whatever is will always be. And that is just not the truth. And you know it's not the truth because of the way you feel. It doesn't feel good. This is not a good feeling. And so when we have something that doesn't feel good, what it's telling us is that your future self or your greater self thinks about this topic of you and your present moment and where you are in your life differently than the way you think about it. And what you're experiencing when there is a difference in the thoughts of your greater self and your current self is the tension between the two. And you're experiencing that as unpleasant emotion. When you are in alignment, when your thoughts are in alignment with your future self or greater self, you experience that as pleasant emotion, as excitement, as enthusiasm. And that's how you feel your way through. That's how you guide your way through. And so in this moment, you're thinking thoughts like the ones that you express that don't feel good. Your greater self, your future self would see this moment as temporary. It's temporary. Do you know that every cell in your body, every cell in your body is different, is new, is different than it was a year ago. You've been completely rejuvenated, completely reconstructed from the inside out and from the outside in. There is nothing about you that's permanent. Nothing. You are being reinvented and recreated every day. The good news is that this process happens with or without you. Evolution happens, evolving happens, creation happens. You get to consciously participate if you want to. Here is the only quote-unquote work that you have to do. You and you alone are responsible for where you put your focus. That's it. Now, I can tell you I think it was this morning. This morning, I had the thought, gosh, my physical self had the thought, why do I have to work so hard at this? It seems like I do my pages, I meditate, what kind of mess am I that it takes this much energy and focus? And then I heard my future self, my greater self say, Israel, really, is it? When you drive a car, and you'll get this, when you drive a car and you have to stay between the lanes, would you call that work? Keeping your hands on the wheel? Would you call that work? Just sitting there with your hands on the wheel? No, probably not. It's not work in terms of effort, but it does require your attention. And that's all, your attention and your focus. And so if you can keep your attention on how you feel, if you can make that the most important thing to you, then it's just a slight adjustment. You hardly even notice your hands moving. You got your eyes on the road. You just know what I have to do in this moment and how do I feel. It's easy. You can't get it wrong. You truly can't, because every time you swerve, it's just gonna make your desire and your focus more keen. Know that the only reason that you keep reliving the feelings and events of the past is because you keep focusing on them and bringing them into the now. In this now, you are new.
What if you want some of the same things? Like, what if you wanted to get married? What if you wanted to be a mother? What if you wanted those things?
Mm-hmm. You pay attention to how you feel. You pay attention to how you feel. And all those things can be yours and more. But I hear your thoughts. Too late for me. It can't happen for me. Not for me. And so you have some practiced beliefs or resistance that is in the way. And what you're looking to smooth out for yourself, you want to find topics where there is no resistance, to ease into that. Some topics might be too charged. Let's say you just recently have someone who passes away, or some other event where you're not in a place yet where you can focus on that event or that person and it feels good. You put your attention on what does feel good. You ask, what if you still want to get married? What if you still want to have children? What if all of these things? Exactly what your future self would say. Hello, yeah. What if you could have all those things and some things you haven't even imagined yet? What if what I'm holding for you as your future self is bigger than that? Just like actors who feel they can't get a job unless they have an agent, or unless I spend $2,000 on my headshots, or unless, Meanwhile, opportunities are flying by left and right. I can't tell you how many actors with no resume and no experience and no headshot I've seen come through in studios and book paid work. In terms of where you think you want to be, married, with kids, etc., 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 you answered the question for yourself in the very first couple sentences that you said. You just haven't been able to see the fullness and completeness of that answer because you're stuck on how it might come. And what you said in the beginning is, maybe it's all of these things I pursued are just because I want to feel love. Mm-hmm. That's where we started.
Yeah.
And that's all of the answer. You do. But you're not looking for love from a husband or children or from friends or family. The love that you're looking for is between you and you. It's this future self and current self relationship. It's alignment with the two. But I get it. Most of us want some sort of romantic relationship. in our life. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's everything right about that. The pathway to that, the pathway to being in love, in romantic love with another individual, is to be in love first with yourself. And if that's too big a leap, then with the day, with the people around you, with your pet, that feeling of being in love, you gotta find that first. You gotta find the lightness of that with everything and everyone around you and with yourself eventually, before you'll receive what you want. The universe always brings to you what lines up with where you are. You didn't say this, but you did. Vibrationally, you said this. I know what you really want, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you want someone to flow your attention toward. And you want someone to flow their attention back toward you. But you want to feel in the flowing of that attention complete within yourself. You want to feel like this is a cherry on top. You want to feel like, wow, what a great day I had. Ooh, I hope that special somebody's home so that I can share my day with them. But even if they're not, it doesn't cast a shadow on my day or my experience. Whether they are here or not, I am happy. I am in love with life. But sure, I love having someone to flow my attention toward. Is that what you want?
Yeah, I guess the overflow of the romantic wedding everybody watched this morning. Yes, yeah.
I'll say something about that in just a second, but the idea here is that you're gonna find your match. Do you want to be matched with someone who is where you are now? Emotionally, in terms of feelings of worth and of self-love. And if not, and you just expressed that you didn't, you just acknowledged that you're looking for someone who's complete within themselves, so that when you come together, there's no wanting, pining. True desire is completeness already. And out of that, out of the overflow of true desire, is a building of more. And so you gotta become that first. If that's what you want to attract, then you want to become that. There is no other time that you can become that except now. The only other thing that I would mention is stop watching and turning your attention towards things that lower your happy bar. Weddings are beautiful unless they're not for you, right? Especially a royal wedding. Listen, I can tell you, it started with CNN. I had to cut that out because it just made me angry. And it wasn't CNN that made me angry. It was my thoughts about the conversations that were being had. And so I cut that out, and then I tried MSNBC, and that made me feel fearful and paranoid. It was my thoughts about the things that they talked about. And then I just tried scrolling through the headlines on Yahoo News and clicking into some articles. What I eventually got to was, before I click into an article, I would say, Israel, how does this headline make you feel? And do you want more of that? Before you click into it and you wallow in it and you luxuriate in it, is it a feeling you want more of in your life? And it's usually about impeachment and fear of this and wrongdoing. And so the headline was enough for me, okay? And so in the same way, it's okay to notice what you don't want, but then you have to turn your attention, and your powerful focus is a magnet on what you do want. And a royal wedding may be too much for you right now. Guess what? You can watch it on DVD, right? Another time when you're in a better feeling place. And so start to catch yourself in the very early stages of that momentum.
I didn't even realize, that it had impacted me like that. Because it was a beautiful thing to see. It really was. I didn't look at a lot of it, but it's like, wow, you do as a girl dream of happily ever after.
And you don't have to dream of it. You can have it now. That's the beautiful. You can have it in this moment. You can have happily ever after now. And if you want happily ever after, it begins now. And you will only have happily ever after when you have it in this moment first. And so if there's one thing that you could take away from this conversation, I'd invite you to just make how you feel the most important thing in your life. So that, do I do this or do I do that? Well, which one feels the best, right? Do I watch this thing? Oh, but I really want to watch the royal wedding. But what are my thoughts and feelings already about it? And maybe you try it a little bit, but in 30 seconds, how are you feeling? A minute? Are you starting to feel, then turn it off. Until how you feel matters more than anything to you, you're gonna stay in this place, in this same feeling place. And that's all that's missing. You know how to drive. You know how to keep your eyes on the road. You know how to take that same attention you give to driving into the road and give it to your emotional well-being. It all starts with emotional well-being.
If you liked what you just heard, then take inspired action now. That's right, act while you are feeling good. And build on your momentum. Schedule your free discovery call with me at instudios-nyc.com/future self.